Why does the United States support Israel? Well, there's a history.
The U.S. Immediately after the invasion.
That latest Gaza attack, you recall that at one point Israel began to run out of munitions.
The U.S. did join the rest of the world in formally condemning it at the Security Council.
If you type Noam Chomsky's name into a Google search, you'll find about 13 million results. His Facebook page boasts over 1.5 million followers, and you can even order a variety of Noam Chomsky-themed coffee mugs. It's safe to say he's not your typical academic. Chomsky, considered the founder of modern linguistics, is one of the most influential public intellectuals globally. Chomsky is credited with revolutionizing linguistics, introducing concepts like the Chomsky hierarchy, generative grammar, and the notion of universal grammar, which underlies all human speech and is rooted in the innate structure of the mind. His influence extends far beyond linguistics, touching fields such as cognitive science, philosophy, psychology, computer science, mathematics, childhood education, and anthropology. But among other things, his opinion on the problems of the modern world is highly valued by intellectuals and widely discussed in the media. So, let's delve into Chomsky's opinions on current world issues. First, his perspective on the Russian-Ukrainian war. Chomsky attributes this conflict to NATO expansion, placing blame on the USA, Great Britain, and the Western world. He claims that Bill Clinton launched a new Cold War by violating the firm and unambiguous U.S. promise to Mikhail Gorbachev that NATO would not extend beyond East Germany, a promise that Clinton violated, and George W. Bush further opened the door. Chomsky argues that the Russian invasion of Ukraine was provoked, although some criticize the lack of evidence for these claims. They argue that formalized treaties are required for such agreements and that Gorbachev himself denied that the issue of NATO expansion was discussed during those years. Additionally, the aspirations of Ukraine's 42 million citizens are often regarded as insignificant in Chomsky's perspective. Chomsky's second concept is to satisfy Putin's demands to avoid escalation in nuclear war. He opposes providing weapons to Ukraine, citing that more weapons only prolong the conflict. Skeptics draw parallels to historical appeasement of dictators like Hitler, which failed to prevent World War II. Some argue that if Russia ceases fire, the war will end. If Ukraine stops resisting, it may vanish from the map. Chomsky also questions the notion of a global confrontation between dictatorship and democracies, attributing international tension to U.S. policies that hinder Europe's independence. Critics argue that an axis comprising Beijing, Moscow, North Korea, and Iran is emerging, with ongoing conflicts worldwide, such as Ukraine, Karabakh, and the Israeli-Palestinian issue, potentially indicating further crises around Taiwan and North-South Korea. In general, Chomsky's political views appear shaped by his experiences during the Holocaust and nuclear bombing in his youth, which influence his contemporary outlook on events. There is a widespread debate around Noam Chomsky's remarks about vaccination during the COVID pandemic. He suggests that unvaccinated individuals should be isolated rather than forced to vaccinate. They should voluntarily distance themselves if they choose not to vaccinate and pose a potential danger to the community. Chomsky implies that these individuals should arrange for their own groceries, drawing a comparison to people who refuse to follow traffic rules. There are contrasting opinions among Chomsky's fans regarding his vaccination stance. Critics argue that his approach could lead to social isolation, even destitution, for the unvaccinated. They cite reported deaths linked to COVID vaccines and the potential hazards posed by both vaccinated and unvaccinated individuals. In contrast, proponents argue that individuals have the right to choose their associations, and the vaccinated should protect themselves from the unvaccinated. In conclusion, Chomsky's transformative impact on linguistics remains undeniable. While his work is still debated, his contributions are substantial. He introduced universal mental principles, which recent research is challenging. Chomsky, who focused on theory rather than field research, remains central to linguistics, with many still holding to his early theories on universal grammar and language acquisition. However, some believe, as Paul Robinson, writing in the New York Times Book Review, once put it, that there is a Chomsky problem. On the one hand, he is the author of profound, though forbiddingly technical, contributions to linguistics. On the other, his political pronouncements are often maddeningly simple-minded. It's worth noting that Noam is a gender-neutral name with Hebrew origins, meaning beautiful or good-looking. It also signifies pleasantness, serving as a reminder that true beauty comes from within.